Something happened to you. You had a real heart-opening experience. Maybe it was through meditation, breath work, deep prayer. Maybe you attended a ceremony. Maybe it was through a crisis, like in my case, that stripped you of everything. Maybe it arrived quietly in an ordinary moment, and then you felt something crack right open inside your chest, something that you had not felt in years. And for a while, it was just incredible, blissful, extraordinary. The connection, the love, the sense of unity, and that deep, deep feeling that life now finally makes sense. There's meaning to it. Then, without any warning, it began to get harder. More emotions, all emotions that you had not felt in a very, very, very long time. So more doubt, more fear, things that you thought you had dealt with a long time ago began to come surging back. And the practices, oh my God, the practices you had suddenly been doing, they stopped working. They kind of feel hollow. It's like you're going through the motions. And then a tiny little voice began to creep in. And this little voice says something like, you're going backwards. You were better off before your heart opened up. This isn't working. So if you can relate to what I'm just saying, if you're there right now, I want you to hear this before anything else. You are not going backwards. The great mystics call this the dark night of the soul. But I have come to understand it very differently, not as a darkness, but as love's refining fire. And by the end of today's video, you're going to understand exactly why this descent happens. There are 3 reasons, the science behind it, and most importantly, what to do next. There's a principle at the heart of every genuine spiritual tradition, East and West, ancient and modern, that almost nobody talks about directly. The mystics knew it because they experienced it. The poets also felt it and wrote about it. The desert fathers also experienced it. And every wisdom lineage that has ever mapped the inner journey of spiritual awakening encountered it and even had a name for it. But in our modern conversations about spiritual awakening, about heart-opening experiences, it gets completely skipped. And that's because it's plain and simply uncomfortable, because it doesn't make a really nice marketing message. So let me say it plainly through the words of someone who said it better than I possibly can. Khalil Gibran in The Prophet. For even as love crowns you, so shall love crucify you. Even as he is for your growth, so is he for your pruning. Even as he ascends to your heights and caresses your tenderest branches that quiver in the sun, so shall he descend to your roots and shake them in their clinging to the earth. When I first read those words many years before my own heart awakening, and I understood them, or I thought I did, I thought they were about romantic love, about falling in love with another person, being crowned by that love, and then being crucified when they betrayed you and the relationship came to an end. And so for a very long time, that was exactly how I lived it. But then in South Africa, my heart broke right open. And in a moment of complete collapse, as I read those words again, for the very first time, I understood what Khalil Gibran was actually talking about. He wasn't talking about another person. He was talking about love itself. The love that crowns you and then descends to your roots and shakes them. Not as punishment, but as a purification. Rumi, the Persian poet, knew this very well when he wrote, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." I believe he wasn't just being poetic, he was being very precise. Here's the principle, stated in as plainly as I know how to. When love enters, it summons everything that is not love. I'm going to say it again because this is the thing that nobody warns you about. When love enters you, it summons all the unlovingness within you. The heart-opening experience that you felt, that was real. That was love pouring inside of you and you feeling the connection, seeing the beauty, and having that sense of finally being fully alive. That was very real. But love not as an emotion, but as an energy, as a vibrational field, when it generally enters into the heart, a heart that has been closed and defended and wounded for many years, it doesn't just simply fill the empty spaces. It begins to illuminate them. So it shines upon every suppressed emotion, every unhealed wound, every wall that you have built from all pain, every part of you that learned not to trust, not to feel, not to hope. All of it begins to rise so that it can be met, so that it can be felt, so that it can be seen, so that it can be liberated. And this is what I call love's refining fire. So it's not a punishment. It's not also a reversal. It's a purification process that anyone who enters into the spiritual path eventually has to go through. So let me ask you, have you ever felt this? Have you ever had a heart-opening experience like the one I'm describing, and then everything begins to rise to the surface? If you have, then I love it if you can just drop a yes in the comments below, because I know exactly what it is that you're describing. If this is a purification, if love's refining fire is doing exactly what it's supposed to do, then why does it feel like a descent? Why does it feel like things begin to get worse? Well, there are primarily 3 reasons. And the third one is the most people have never heard name. And when they hear it, something shifts. The first reason is your nervous system is recalibrating. When the heart begins to open, the body starts to release all that it has been holding. The grief, the fear, the sadness, all the shame. So this all pain that was stored in your muscles, in your tissue, everywhere, it begins to resurface because it can finally move through you. Not because something has gone wrong, but because there's finally enough safety in your nervous system to finally it begin to move. So I want you to think of it this way. If you've been holding your fist very clenched for many, many, many years, very, very tight, and you finally begin to relax it, you're going to experience a lot of pain. Not because relaxing is wrong, but because the tissues have become so compressed for such a long time that release will bring about all this pain, all these uncomfortable sensations. So the pain that you're feeling is not the problem. The pain is literally the thawing. Researchers at the Institute of HeartMath has documented exactly this. As the heart begins to open and the walls begin to come down, HRV, which is your heart rate variability, their patterns begins to shift. Vagal tone begins to change. The nervous system enters into a measurable recalibration process. And so what feels like inner chaos is not really a physiological signature. This isn't a breakdown. It's actually your biology that is now catching up with your spiritual and personal transformation. The system is literally coming online. The emotions that are surfacing are not new ones. They're old emotions that finally have enough safety and space to be finally felt, to be finally embraced. Reason number 2, the mind fights to keep control. For most of your life, the mind has been running the show. And it is very, very good at what it does. It's designed to keep you safe. It keeps you productive. It keeps you on familiar ground. But when the heart starts to open and it begins to lead, when you begin to make decisions from a completely different place, following a different kind of knowing or intuition or guidance, the mind perceives this as a threat. Neurologically, this is not a metaphor. Your brain's default network, the system that is responsible for your sense of self, for your own identity, your story, and your familiar patterns, interprets anything that is unfamiliar, all these unfamiliar states of consciousness, the same way that it interprets physical danger. And so it activates the exact same threat response as if a dog came towards you to attack you. The voice inside of you that says, this isn't working, that's not inner wisdom, that's not insight, that is the ego that is trying to return to the familiar ground. That is the part of you that built the walls in the first place to keep you safe, to keep you protected. And so for the ego to watch those walls come down, it begins to panic. And so the doubt, the rationalization, that sudden flatness where there used to be aliveness before, These are not signals that something is wrong with you or that you're on the wrong path. They're actually signals that something real is changing, and the mind is sounding every alarm that it has. The third reason is the gap becomes visible. Before your heart began to fully open, you couldn't fully feel the distance between where you are right now and where you long to be. But now you can. The practices have sensitized you. So you've now began to catch glimpses of what a life lived from the heart could actually feel like. I call that your heart's vision. And now you can feel the contrast between that and your current reality more acutely than ever before. And so you're tuning in into that gap, that longing, and that can feel for many people like pain, like something is missing, like a loss even for some people. And I want you to know that it's not missing, it's not loss. What has actually happened is that your heart is beginning to show you now what is possible for your life. And it wants you to live there, not just in the glimpses, but as a lived, embodied reality, as a way of being. So that ache that you feel is not evidence that you're falling. It's actually evidence that you are awake, that you are awakening. So these are the three reasons that our heart awakening feels like a descent. Your nervous system is releasing what has been holding for years, so it's recalibrating. Your mind is fighting to take back the control. And the gap between where you are right now and where you long to be, which you couldn't fully feel before because you were very numb, is now becoming visible. So there's nothing wrong with you. What you are experiencing is love's fire doing its work. What you're going through has a name. In the framework that I developed over 20 years, what I call the 4 stages of heart mastery, there are 4 stages the heart moves through on its journey from being fully closed to being fully open. The hermit, the initiate, the warrior, and the leader. Most of the people that are watching this video right now have spent years, sometimes decades, in the hermit stage. And this is the stage where your heart is closed, where your heart is protected and guarded. You are on survival mode. And when the heart finally begins to open, when you step into this initiate state, it can feel like everything is falling apart. And I want you to know that it's not falling apart. It feels like that, but it's not. It's being rearranged. As it often said, things have to first fall apart before they can come together. So the pain that you're experiencing is not the problem. The pain is literally all the emotions that are now thawing. They're coming to the surface. That doubt is not a sign that you're on the wrong path. It's actually a sign that the mind, your intellect, your ego is beginning to lose its control. And that's exactly what needs to happen. That is love's redeeming fire. So your heart is now showing you what is possible, and it wants you to begin to inhabit it and to live there. So stay in your heart, stay in the fire, stay in love's redeeming fire. It's a purification process that you're in right now. Stay with the discomfort, stay with the aches, stay with the longing, because on the other side of this, as you keep moving through this process, there is a version of you that has never felt more alive, more joyful, more awake. And if this resonated, I want you to know that I built something for exactly this moment. The Heart Mastery Starter Kit. It's completely free, and the link is in the description below. Inside, you're going to find a walkthrough of the 4 stages of Heart Mastery, a guided meditation entitled Coming Home to Your Heart, and the Heart Mastery quiz so that you can see with precision where you are at this moment on this journey. So please grab it. Until the next time, I send you all of my love from my heart to yours. Bye-bye for now.